Hey everyone, NWA Prepper here. And I really just want to talk a little bit about my personal thoughts on leadership. And it's kind of a loaded question because it's different for each of us. And I'm not going to talk about the definition of leadership. And I'm going to kind of gear it a little bit towards, obviously towards a MAG group or a mutual assistance group or your clan or your tribe or your your friends group or your circle or whatever you call it. But it kind of goes around with some other things too. To begin with is not everyone can be a leader. Nope. Not everybody has it in them. Everyone can be assigned the position and be said, hey, you're the leader today, but not everyone is capable of being a leader. Particularly of being one that is being a leader that is capable and productive can be, it's a calling, it's a skill set, it's experience, and all of those things are not. Everyone is not a leader. And of course, in emergency services, we teach everyone, oh, there's a time that everyone is a leader, and there's a time that everyone has to step up and fill the role of leader. But that does not mean that everyone is cut out to be that leader. And leadership is certainly something that the leadership skills can be taught. There are all kinds of leadership classes and books and all kinds of things to help someone be a better leader. And they're great. Some of them are great. Some of them are not. But there are people out there that just aren't leaders. If you give them the option, they would rather not because it's hard, or they don't like conflict, or they're uncomfortable in that situation, or all kinds of things. But on the flip side, you have people that think they're the best and they want to be the leader, and they're like, "Oh, I'm awesome. I'm the best at this, or I'm the best at that," and they're not good leaders. I wish I had a magic wand that I could just go alakazam and poof, this person is a good leader. I have been blessed in my life. I have been blessed by both, by people that were not good leaders, but by people that were good leaders on both sides of it. And I consider both of them a blessing, both ways. Because if it wasn't for bad leaders, I wouldn't appreciate and try to emulate the good leaders in my life as much. It wouldn't be such a big deal to me, because I would just be like, well, everyone's a good leader. Everyone is capable of doing this or that, when they're not. Now, in addition to emergency services, I have served with good leaders in all kinds of facets. From, well, everything you think of, from emergencies to corporate to military to just to law enforcement, which I know is emergency services, to survivalist groups, to just regular citizen groups, to civic organizations. All of those things I have been around, that I've served with good leaders and bad leaders. Takes all kinds. But what you have to remember is, I want to work harder for the good leaders. The leadership style that I choose is a mix of several good leaders in my life. Yeah, it's a mix, and there's a time for different styles of leadership. As a general rule, one of my I guess he was a lieutenant at the time. Anyway, one of my favorite leaders never really said, go do this. It was always, hey, I need you to go do this. Will you please go do this? Or go, I would appreciate it if you would go take care of this issue. It wasn't always dripping with politeness, but it was always heartfelt. It was never, go now. It was also never because he didn't want to do it. It was just who he was. And he was a captain when I left. And I've also been around leaders that sit in the back and just start screaming and hollering to tell people to do things. And there's a time for both of those. However, I think there's a time for both of those. I don't believe one leadership style will work in every situation. And so you really need to find out what your leadership style is, or what leadership style you want to follow. There are leaders that have been in my life, that maybe are in my life, that I don't like their leadership style. Doesn't mean I won't follow orders if I'm their subordinate. It just means that I prefer not to work around that leadership style. I don't want somebody who blindly tells me what to do, or tells me what to do and expects me to blindly do them without that. I just don't have the trust in them. I will blindly follow orders of many chiefs, many captains, and I have had many supervisors in my life that I know I didn't understand all the things they asked me to do. The ones that I remember are the ones that I felt what they asked me to do was something that they would also do. And so when they asked me, hey, I need you to go clear this room, I believe it's something that they would do, they have done, they understand what my thoughts and mindset would be about something, and care. Now, that doesn't change the task at the moment. Sometimes there's a task that you just have to do and you have to do it now. I get it. I also, many times over the course of a week, there are things that I just have to tell someone to go do. Now, after the fact, in the debriefing or in our training, I try to explain and get where they understand my leadership style. So when on a non-emergency situation, I am going to be like, hey, I would appreciate it if you would go take this and go do this with it. Or, hey, we need to go check that ridge, or we need to do this, or, whatever it is. I always say, hey, I would appreciate it, or would you help me with this? And whenever possible, I either do it myself or we do it together. So that when there is an instance where I am like, go do this, either they don't notice and they go do it, which more often than not is the case. They're like, oh, I'm sorry, Cap. I didn't know you were cranky. I'm sorry. Because I come back around to it. I'm like, hey, we just had to get that done in a hurry. I didn't, hope you understand. Here's why we had to get that done in a hurry. And more often than not, they're like, yeah, got it. No problem. Versus some other leaders that I've had in my life that they may do the same thing. Go do the exact same task that I tell people to do. However, they're always like that. Go mop the floor. Go clean the toilet. Go put the dishes away. Go park the truck. Go move this tool. And so when people notice when they're cranky, or I call it cranky, leaders need a leadership style, and not everyone is cut out to be a leader. Some people are better leaders than others. If you are a leader, whether by default meaning no one else is stepping up to do it, or if you are a leader because you feel led to do it, and the people around you, perhaps you notice they have a tendency to follow your direction more so than the structured leadership, that means you're a leader, and they need you to be a leader. And I encourage you to read books, to understand, to go to classes, to watch people you think are good leaders, and to ask questions. And if you are not, if you are a follower, be a great follower. Great followers are easier than great leaders. You control being a good follower. If that is your role in life and your job in whatever you're doing, be good at it. You can control being a good follower. Make sure you understand the task, ask questions when you can, always watch what your leaders do and try to emulate them if they're good leaders. And if they're crappy leaders, then watch what they do and make sure you don't do it. Being a leader is hard. Not everyone's cut out for it. Sometimes it's you're not ready to be a leader now. You'll be a leader later. Maybe the stressor or the situation hasn't come up to make that leader come out of you. So if you are a leader, do your best. If you're not a leader, do your best. Be a good leader or a good follower. Thanks for watching. Let's get ready.